people not only in China, but also all over the world starting knowing a bit about global supply chain, know that shipping is really important. Shipping is related to your daily life. But yeah, that is not enough.
Welcome to the Shipping Podcast, where I meet interesting maritime professionals sharing their passion for the shipping industry and their everyday job. I am your host. My name is Lena Gosberg. Hello, Shipping Podcast listeners, and welcome to episode 206. I received an email from a young woman in China who has been listening to the Shipping Podcast for more than 4 years. She's from Shanghai. She's a big podcast lover and works at a Swedish startup company which is building car batteries called Northvolt. Anna is in the planning and project logistics team, and she reached out to me. How often have I been asked to invite some young people to the Shipping Podcast and hear their views on the maritime industry? Numerous times. This was my opportunity, I realized that. Someone who knows my podcast and has lost her heart to the industry. So I asked Anna Wu if she wanted to become a guest on the podcast, and she accepted. I hope you will enjoy our conversation. This is Anna Wu for you. So your letter started with, "This is Anna and I'm from China. Where do I start? I don't remember when and for what reason I subscribed to your podcast." So you're a big podcast lover, aren't you?
Yes, I am. And I have been listening to your podcast for more than 4 years.
Wow. I get embarrassed.
Don't be.
Thank you for being a sort of part of the tribe that is listening to my podcast then. But you say in your letter that you don't remember why you started. So you just stumbled upon it, or did you start to think about the shipping industry, or?
I think the very beginning, because I was looking for some podcasts related to shipping, because I am, like I told you, I really a podcast lover, but I have never met any podcast talking about shipping. So I think I was looking for one podcast, then I found yours.
Yeah, that was my problem as well when I started. As I said, or as you read, I started in 2015. And for 2 years, I was looking for a podcast about shipping and the maritime industry. And after 2 years, and I had asked repeatedly, someone said to me, either you have to do it yourself or you have to stop nagging about it. So I decided to do it myself then. There was no podcast, as you say, and it's a different channel to be talking about these things in. If you are an eager podcast listener, as I am, I listen to so many podcasts. Because when I grew up, I listened to a lot of radio. And I don't think there is any radio about shipping or maritime either nowadays. So I thought, well, what about the people who want to listen to something? And that is one of the reasons I started. I have a few more colleagues in this industry that has done the same thing, started a podcast. I'm happy that you found it.
I'm happy as well.
You say that you have graduated from Shanghai Maritime University. So what did you study to become there?
My major back then was international shipping management.
And what did you learn about that in school then?
Oh, we learned a lot. Yes, we learned a lot related to shipping. We learned liner container shipment, liner service, liner container shipping theory and business. We learned maritime law, marine insurance law. We even learned something related to contract law. We learned about port. I think basically we learned everything about shipping and a bit about logistics.
Yeah. Like any maritime university around the world, you studied the same things, more or less. But how come that you started to learn that? How did you enter into the maritime industry? Did you just think that randomly, or why?
My major in the first year was business English. I was good at that, but I think that in a maritime university, if you learn a major as English, you can't compete with those students who will graduate from the foreign language university in Shanghai. They are so excellent, you cannot compete with them. So then I changed my mind. I thought that, I need to change to another major. I need to study the best major in my university. So international shipping management is the best onshore major in my university. So I think I also wrote in my email. In my family, there is no one working in shipping or logistic industry. And actually, before I went to my university, I didn't know what is maritime. Maritime is a word far away from my life. And before I went to study my major, I know little about this major.
And now you have lost your heart into the industry, I presume.
Yes, thanks to my first job.
What did you do then?
Yeah, the first company I worked for is a Danish company. It's a project forwarding company. Back then, when I graduated from university in 2015, all my classmates, we thought that shipping broking company or carrier company are the best choice for our graduates. So I also didn't expect that I will join a forwarding company. But by some sort of chance or coincidence, I joined that Danish forwarding company, and I was lucky enough. So after I joined that, I got the chance to deal with project cargo directly, immediately. I really love project cargo because it's very challenging and every project is different from each other.
Yeah, and you have to use your imagination, I think, to think about how can we get this loaded and transported and unloaded.
Yeah, you need to have a blueprint in your mind from the very beginning, from a site in China until the end, until another site in another country. The whole process, you need to have a very dedicated method statement, a solution.
And then you moved on to another company.
Oh yeah, yes. After 3 years, I joined another two different German company, but all of them in the project forwarding industry. So in the past 6 years, I had been working in this project forwarding industry, and I had been always dealing with project cargo, break bulk cargo.
But now you have changed into something else.
Yes, I changed again. Around this time last year, I joined another company. It's a Swedish company, startup company. So in terms of industry, I changed the industry completely from a project forwarding industry to a battery manufacturing industry. But if we talk about daily jobs, I'm still dealing with the project logistics.
Yeah. So that is the reason, again, to study maritime at the Maritime University and find your A levels and become someone who's available to the maritime industry.
Yeah.
Since you have listened to so many of my episodes, you know that I am passionate about how can we become more visible to the general public with our industry. Do you have any tip?
I listened a lot, and I also heard those advice from your guests, and I fully agree with some of the advice they gave. So I think social media is a good way to promote shipping industry, give more insight to the younger generation to let them know what is shipping and what we can do. Because I also feel that shipping and logistics, these are two so grand and abstract words. In China, before, when I introduced to others about my job, I told them about I'm working in a project logistic company. They almost have no idea. They will think that something related to express logistics. Yeah, they had no idea. And even some friends, they know little about logistics, but they don't know what is project logistics. They don't know what is break bulk. They don't know how interesting break bulk is. So I think how to forward or how to transmit those information to the younger generation is the key point, is where we can work on.
Have you told your friends now? Have they become more interested now when you have told them what you actually do?
Yeah, sure. So when I explained more to them, they will feel that, oh, it's fascinating. Because but what they think is interesting or fascinating is that I can travel to some countries. They think that, oh, this job is amazing.
It's not only in China that people have a problem understanding. My friends don't understand what I do. And that was also a reason why I started the podcast, because I'm letting all these voices from the industry talk about what they do. And anyone who takes the time, as you have done, to listen to them will understand how fascinating this industry is to work in. But I think maybe not. We need to get more I need to get more listeners by maybe spreading the word more in social media and other places, because you need to know that there is something to listen to. and I also think that we have some messages we want to break through with as an industry. For instance, come and work with us, or we are exciting, or we are part of the globalization, and we are contributing so much to the society in general. And that is a different message to send than the ones that you and I are sending to our friends when we're talking about that special product, that special project that went so good or so bad. So I think there is something in there that we need to convey to people who doesn't know anything about it, that is in your stories that you tell to your friends, instead of just standing up and saying, oh, we are lifting the global trade. I don't know. What do you think?
Yes, when I think about our talk today, I was also considering about maybe I can also have my own podcast in China, in Chinese, to talk about shipping industry. Maybe I can do something more. And I also want to resonate with what you have said. You were talking about globalization. I think this year, due to some lockdown in Shanghai, people not only in China but also all over the world starting knowing a bit about global supply chain, know that shipping is really important. Shipping is related to your daily life. But yeah, that is not enough.
No, I don't think so. And it goes back to, I'm so old now that I can remember all this terrible front pages with the oil spill and things like that, and tankers breaking through and spilling oil, and so many disasters that has been on the first page when it comes to the maritime industry, but hardly any good stories. On the other hand, first pages might not be the place where you tell good stories. I don't know.
This is really a good point, because if you read newspapers, read the news, there are always bad stories. So yeah, how to tell a good story happened in shipping industry, in logistics, it's a good point.
Yeah, I have spoken to journalists, and they say Well, we never write about a building that is not on fire either. Yeah, there is a point in that.
But again, I think that the podcast you are doing is really good. I think this is a good way. But maybe in China, not so many people are listening to podcasts, so it's getting more popular nowadays. But still not so many. Especially your podcast is in English, so the popularity in China is not that big. But I still think it's a good way to promote and yeah.
So you got a void there. You can fill. I'm happy to help you. It's easy to start a podcast nowadays. And I have 7 years experience to contribute with. It's not a problem. And also I think that is one other reason that I thought about this podcasts, the way to spread the word, because it's free. And it's also in a way democratic, because I started sitting out in my wardrobe and then I sat at the kitchen table, and now it's like spread in more than 200 countries, and it's like 7,000 people download the 2 episodes per month. And that is amazing. I mean, how could I get 7,000 people listening to me in one room or one arena or wherever? Couldn't happen.
Yeah.
So in a way, anyone can start a podcast and get an audience, which is good and bad, because maybe people talk about things that shouldn't be spread around the world as well. But we can't stop that. We have to take the bad with the good things in that way. But since there are more than 1 million podcasts to listen to, you can learn anything by just listening if you want to. It's like YouTube, but without the pictures, the photo.
Yeah, I think that's the big reason why I like listening to podcasts. And you just said that it's free, but I don't really think so, because you spend lots of time on that. I know that because I did 2 episodes before, but it's just for fun, not for any promoting or something. I spent several hours for editing, so I know it's a huge of workload. So I don't think it's completely free. It's you who, yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, when I started, I was so nervous that it would sound not as good as I wanted it, so I cut it up too much, I think. But I definitely spent at least 3 times as long as the episode is on editing. After a while, you get to know how to do it and what is important and what is not. But by then, I decided to find myself an editor. So I have an editor in Indianapolis, and that is also a young woman, and she's a musician, and she has her own podcast. And it was important to me to find someone who has got English as their mother tongue, because she knows how to cut where, the language is okay and the melody of your language is okay to cut, because I could cut. Since I'm translating in my head, my mother tongue is Swedish. So when I'm talking, I translate in my head, unless I've been speaking English for a long while, then it comes without thinking. And since I listen to so many podcasts myself, I know what's disturbing and what I don't want in there. It was important for me to have a really good sound quality. So Jen, who is my editor, she is cutting in such an amazing way. And she's also helping me to develop sound and all of that, since she knows about it. And I am happy that I found another woman who is in this industry to support by being a client of hers. And we have fun together as well. I also have another friend who lives in Copenhagen, who has a web shop, and she is selling microphones and technical things for my podcast. And she has helped me a lot to put things together, because I wasn't very interested in technical things when I started. I didn't know how to connect all these different things. And before the pandemic, I traveled to every interview. So I brought my microphones and my recorder and everything, in a backpack, and I went. And then I needed to know how to put it together without losing my face in front of my interviewees, because then if I did that, they wouldn't trust me to interview them. So I've learned so many things, and it sounds like if I'm only working and associating with women. In a way I do, because I know how hard it is to be a woman in a male-dominated industry. And I want more women to do what they love and are passionate about. And my friends are. I also have a female supplier of my website. It has been there since I started, so I need to remake it. But as you say, I spend so much time, and this is my hobby because I need to support myself meanwhile. And the maritime industry, they are not willing to pay anything to be part of this podcast or be part of what I'm trying to do, because I'm trying to change the industry into reaching out to young people and to more people and to get the interest. And everyone I meet nowadays congratulates me for my success. But no one is willing to put their money where their mouth is. I mean, big shipping companies have asked me to do some commercial for their podcasts. And I have said, yeah, sure. If you pay, I can do that, because that is usually what you do for a commercial. And for a global shipping company to say, no, we don't pay. And I asked for little sum. I asked for $2,000. And they say, no. Well, then I will have to carry on until someone gets it. How to reach the young people and how to be part of the future, I think.
So when I heard that, yeah, there are several women living in different countries in this world working on the same thing, I feel this even more wonderful. And I feel sad that this big global shipping company, they were not willing to pay even 2,000. I feel sad. I feel really sad, because especially last 2 years, they earned a lot, but 2,000 is to them is nothing.
No.
They even want you to do some commercial for them, and without paying 2,000. I feel really sad about this.
Yeah, me too. And it was another shipping company that wanted me to do a commercial for their podcast about trainees into their company. And I said the same thing. Yes, I can do that if you pay me, because I'm doing this from my own pocket. And they said, no, we will not pay you. The podcasting industry in general, if you talk about big brands and things like that, there is an industry standard with a fixed rate for every 1,000 downloads of an episode, which is $2.50. It wouldn't be worth my time to use the industry standard. Therefore, I have looked at what you pay as an advertiser on a website or in a newsletter in the maritime industry. I tell you, it's more than $2,000. And you hardly reach any young people, as they are not subscribed to paid media. That is what I'm trying to explain to people. I can tell you, it takes me more time and to do more work to put it together than it would be worth $20. So for niche industries like ours, we have to find something else to measure against. And I have thought about that for such a long time, and I reached the decision to compare this to, online commercials. Like if you have a web page and a web banner or whatever, do you have to pay if you want to do some advertising on a website or something else? So yeah, of course it's taken out of the blue, but it's nothing compared to what you get.
Yeah.
What other kinds of podcasts do you listen to?
Mainly about personal development. I'm not sure whether you know Tim Ferriss.
Yes.
I think he's quite popular. Yes. Some podcasts like his. Oh, I have been listening to both Chinese and English podcasts for Chinese. It has lots of varieties about personal real life in China. Because I think when I listen to those episodes, it gives me more perspectives about people's lives. Because I think everybody, they only live their own life. If you don't go out to see, you don't know other people, what kind of lives other people are living. So I want to know more. I'm really interested about people. I'm also interested in spirituality.
I think it's you are curious then, and you're open to listen to other people's views and so on. And so am I. I'm interested in hearing your views on this. How do you find yourself as a woman in this industry? Do you think it's equal as your male colleagues, or I've been talking to so many women, and I think it's important to give a platform to women to speak up.
In terms of equality, gender equality, it's hard to say. The truth is that the people work in the project cargo industry are mainly male. Yeah, female is minority. There are some people, some women working in shipping in maritime industry. For example, the operations job for the container carrier company. There are lots of women, but for project cargo, for project forwarding industry, mainly men. I think in their view, women is not suitable for this kind of job because sometimes you need to go to the port, you need to supervise the loading and discharging. It's dangerous. Women cannot handle this. There is some prejudice, I would say.
Yeah, because it's dangerous for them as well.
Yes. So I remember clearly the first time I got on board on a breakbulk vessel in Shanghai port. I was the only girl, I would say, on that. So yeah, the stevedores were surprised. They were so super surprised I was there. So yes, that's the truth in this specific industry.
But have you yet reached the point when you have realized that it's an advantage to be a woman in a male industry?
Yeah, I think you're right. On the other hand, it's an advantage because you are the only woman. You have some privilege. For example, the case, the story I just shared with you, the stevedore, he gave me one bottle of water. So my colleague is a man. He was saying, "Oh, you you are so spoiled. Yeah, you got one bottle of water. I have nothing." So that's a small story. Other than that, I think, the people I deal with are almost men. I think they will feel new when they meet a lady. So maybe they will show some good attitude. So that's the advantage. I remember that when I traveled to Vienna for a business trip to meet a local agent, they were surprised as well. They thought that I must be a very old lady. Instead, that it turned out to be that I'm a young lady. Yeah, firstly, it's a lady. Another point is that I was young, so they were surprised again.
When you studied, were you equally many male students as female students, or?
Oh, in my major, the gender ratio is almost half-half. But in Merchant Marine Academy, I think it's almost 99.5% male. So those students, they will become seafarers.
Well, I have a friend of mine whose daughter is studying to become a master mariner here in Sweden. She's 24 years old. And when I speak to her, because I try to pave the way for the young women, I asked her, how is it to study to become a master mariner? And she said, oh, I'm so happy. This is all I want. I want to be in command of a ship. I'm longing to be that. And I said, oh, I'm happy that you have found what you want to do in your life. And I said, are there any disadvantages? And she said, yes. Every person I talk to, it doesn't matter if it's teachers or students or my relatives or my friends or anyone, they say, oh, are you going to become a captain? So you're not going to have a family then? And I mean, every part of my body screamed, she should not have to deal with that. I mean, she shouldn't be met by those prejudiced thoughts. And that is also a reason why we have to talk about this and people understand what it is to be a young woman in this industry, because not any of her male colleagues get that question.
Yes, it is the truth. This prejudice, how to say, is like in other workplace, not only in the maritime industry, people also have another kind of prejudice. So especially in China, when you turn to 35 years old, when you go to have a interview with HR, they will ask, are you married? Have you got your kid? If they will have this kind of questions for you, so they think that a woman who's 35, who hasn't got the kid, will be less competitive than those men. So yeah, such kind of prejudice. But all of these prejudices need to be broke. It takes time, and we are all working on this. Yeah, this is another point. I think that you are doing a great thing. You really care about this.
Yes, I do. And I think I'm a grown-up woman. I can take that discussion. Not a young woman who's 24 and is starting her career with the things that she loves the most.
Yeah, I also feel happy for her because it feels to me that she really has a passion for marine.
Yes, she does. Yes. Her mother was a little bit surprised, but now she's only proud of her.
That's great. And in my university, the good thing is that nowadays, yep, I can't say lots of girls want to learn a major as marine engineering or marine technology, but as far as I know, it's more and more.
Yeah, and why not? Knowledge is not gender-based. You only have to find your passion and go for it. And also, if you are suited to do things, you should. And I think it's also the responsibility of the employers to find ways to also cater for young parents. In Sweden, there are so many men who want also to have their parental leave. So it's not only to plan for women to be giving birth and staying with the children. It's also the young men wants to do that. They don't want to miss out on children growing up. And so that is also a paradigm shift. There's so many paradigm shifts right now, but but that is one of them. And if we want to attract young people, we also need to think that through. How do you see your career path in the future? either you're a man or a woman. Because I think when it comes to seafarers, in the old days, it used to be, yeah, you just go on board this ship and we will put you on land 30 years later. And, and that is not really the case anymore. And it's a little bit the same, I think, on shore. The schools and the universities might be a little bit better, and there are these conferences and meetings between employers and students and schools and so on to try and attract the most bright students to their companies. But still, do we show them what there is at the end of that road that we can, I mean, we must paint that picture so much better and clearer so that young people want to start walking towards it.
Yeah, this is another good point, because I feel that the younger generation, they care a lot about career development now. If we can make it more clear for them, then it will be more attractive to them.
Yeah, and then we have what I call the Greta generation, who's also very involved and passionate about the environment. And we need to have a message to them as well, that we are serious about changing things for the better.
Yes.
I think we are doing so many great things, but we are not really conveying that message in a way that people, especially young people, understand, maybe.
Yeah.
I still see so many, as we were talking about, front pages. Front page with the ship that has black smoke coming out of the chimney. There's not a lot of that still there, but of course they found that picture if they want to have it on the front page.
It just occurs to me that I feel that shipping industry is an old industry. Yeah, it's an old industry to start a long, long time ago. But it has developed a lot. It has been connected to lots of new technologies, and like you mentioned, the maritime industry cares environment as well. Yeah, they have lots of new technologies, new vessels, but it seems that the younger generation, not only younger generations, lots of people, they are not updated of this.
No, and that is our own fault, because we have to send the message of the new things happening. I work a lot with broadband, if I have some assignments on that one, and it's equally hard to explain to someone what broadband is, because it's invisible and no one wants to know anything until it breaks. Connectivity, if it doesn't work, then everyone explodes. So it's so similar to shipping.
Yeah.
No one knows about it. And until there is a big ship in the Suez Canal, they don't know, and they don't want to know. They just want to know that they got the things that they ordered online.
Yeah.
And they don't care how that bridge that you are transporting, or the part of the bridge to something that you are exporting, they don't want to know about that. They just want to ride on that bridge once it's finalized.
Yeah.
We might be as blind as other people are to our industry, to other industries. We don't know. But I think that is something we need to think about and figure out.
Yes, exactly.
What is the aim of your career? What are you dreaming about?
This is a really, really hard question.
I know, I'm famous for them.
On the one hand, I do have the passion for Project Cargo. On the other hand, I'm not sure whether Project Cargo will be my career for the whole life. I have lots of other interests, which I'm still exploring. So I don't know. Yeah, I can't really answer these questions.
No, but you have lost your heart to our business. So you don't have to work with project transports all your life, but maybe because everything that you learn, you will benefit from in your next step of your career.
Exactly. And I don't know why, but I just feel that somehow I will do something still related to maritime, related to shipping.
I told you so.
I don't know, how the connection will be, but just know that somehow it must be related.
It's so hard to leave once you have understood what this is all about.
Exactly.
Thank you, Anna, for writing to me, and thank you for taking the time to speak to me.
Thank you for answering my letter, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, Anna. I'm sure you will not be the last young person that I talk to. There will be more voices from the young generation on this podcast. That is a promise. You heard when I went on a tangent a few times during our conversation. I am passionate about our industry to take that recruitment question to heart. We need to reach the young generation where they are and in their language, not where we are, speaking our buzzwords or jargon or whatever. It doesn't appeal to them. They do not understand us if we continue to use our maritime language. If they don't speak the language, they will not hear what we're trying to say to them. Another thing I cannot help myself talking about is the unwillingness to support me in my work as a podcaster. I know it's not easy to know where to spend your marketing budget when you are a ship owner or a significant player. Let your marketing people reach out to me if you feel uncomfortable doing that yourself. I need support, and you need to brand your company in a different way. Let's work together. Drop me a line at hello@shippingpodcast.com, because every conversation matters. That you must have caught in today's episode. Until the next time, from me to you, over and out. Thank you for listening to the Shipping Podcast. Don't forget to tell everyone that you meet that there is a shipping podcast available and that they should download it and listen to the maritime professionals who are sharing their passion for the shipping industry.